Before the video starts, if you don't mind, could you go to Instagram and follow me on there, @TheTripKeeper. Thank you.
Welcome to the world of Tales from the Trip.
In the spirit of Cedar Point and many other amusement parks opening this time of year, I thought it would be fun to do some trip reports from theme parks. Since I live in Ohio, I've been to Cedar Point at least 300 times, and I'm not exaggerating. I've been going basically since I was born 22 years ago. I love roller coasters, and the Magnum XL200 was my first huge roller coaster I went on. I remember I was terrified going up the 205-foot hill, but when it went down, it was so much fun. Ever since then, I've been what some people call a coaster enthusiast. I love all the rides there and can't wait to go many times this summer with my pass. Also, my friend and I back about 6 years ago wanted to go there on acid during Halloween, but we couldn't get it in time to do that. It's probably a good thing we didn't, because I can't imagine going through a haunted house on acid. Alright, enough about my story. Let's get to these stories that I've handpicked for today's video. Enjoy. Day 1. 2 of my friends and I drove to California and got a hotel near Six Flags Magic Mountain. We brought 9 hits of acid, which was in the form of Smarties, about 3-4 grams of crack, and some 5-MeO DMT, which my friends didn't tell me about until it was too late. We also had a wheelchair, a big blanket, a crack pipe, a lighter, a small notepad with a pen, and money for tickets. Before this experience, I had only done acid once, with 2 hits. I tried crack once, about 1/4 gram, and other than that, I've only smoked weed. I hadn't even been on a roller coaster before this day. We were all in a pretty good mood, but I was nervous because I was the least experienced one with drugs and amusement parks. Day 2, 7 a.m. We wake up, each take 3 hits of acid, and eat a small meal from the hotel. We load the crack pipe and leave for the park. 7:28. We get to Six Flags and start waiting in line. I start feeling nervous and jittery, but my friends don't feel anything yet. 7:46. We finally get to the front of the line, and the acid has begun to kick in for all of us. Visuals start about the same time we get through into the park. 8:02. We arrive at Superman Ride of Steel and start waiting. People offer us to cut, but we were just going to wait for the acid to kick in a little more, so we stay in the back of the line. 8:39. Arrive about 2 people towards the front. My friend gives me a cue to take a hit from the crack pipe. I hide the pipe under the big blanket and take a huge toke. I tried to hold it in, but my head started feeling way bigger and uncomfortable, so I blow out the smoke. I turn to look at my friends and almost go blind. I see extremely bright lights and noises seem to blend in this frightening groan. I started wondering if this really was the crack reacting with the acid, but I couldn't keep a train of thought going. 8:42. They say we can get on the ride. My friends have to pretty much drag me onto the ride as I'm gripping the wheelchair as if my life depended on it. I keep slipping in and out of reality, wondering if I'm really on the ride. The ride starts. 8:43. I just lose it. I feel like I'm going 10,000 miles per hour through a void. I start screaming and crying. All my muscles tighten up, and I sweat like crazy. We get to the top, and I start crying. We roll back down and wait to get off the ride. 8:46. My friends quickly get me onto the wheelchair and push me away from the crowds. I look down and notice I've wet my pants and puked all over myself, which I don't even remember doing. My face is still pouring with sweat and tears. My friends try to calm me down, giving me a soda and telling me everything will be okay. 8:55. My friends tell me that they mixed in some 5-MeO DMT with the crack. I asked what it was. They said toad venom and explained it. They had to repeat a lot of stuff because their voices were distorted and I had to hear things 2 or 3 times to understand it. 9 o'clock. I feel better because I feel the 5-MeO DMT wearing off. The acid is still running strong and I still feel dirty from the body fluids. I see a crowd of people and I think they're laughing and pointing at me. They start to come closer and I tell my friends to avoid the crowd. They look over and told me that they were actually walking away. 9:12. My friends are still talking to me and I asked what to do about my clothes. They said, "This might happen, we are prepared." They told me that there was one spare change of clothes that would fit any of us under the wheelchair. I thank them, and now I am a lot happier. 9:20. We go to where nobody can see us. I stand up and bring the clothes into a bathroom, hoping nobody would be in there. There was only one person, and they looked at me, but didn't say anything about the puke or the pee. I quickly go into a stall and start undressing. After what seemed to be 4 hours, I finally get all my clothes on and join my friends. 9:35. I asked how long I took. He said 15 minutes. I put the dirty clothes and blanket under the wheelchair. I looked up at one of my friend's faces and stare. His freckles jump out of his head. Then his face melts, turns to pixels, and other various things. He said, "Be careful, dude. Your pupils are so dilated." 9:40. I asked my friend to ride the wheelchair. He said, "Okay, it's not too dirty." Walking felt great. I apologized to my friends for wasting time getting dressed and whatnot, but they said it was cool. They were sorry for giving me 5-MeO DMT without permission. We were all now in a mood where we feel like we need to apologize. The rest of the day, we went on a few more rides, and my friends found places to take hits from the pipe before going on them. We each took one hit from the pipe, and each went on a different ride while on the 5-MeO DMT. I didn't go on any more roller coasters, but I did go on some other rides. When I waited for my friends, I walked around trying to avoid people. I was very paranoid. Day 3. I was very sore, especially my neck. This was probably because I tightened my muscles on the roller coasters. I will never go on a roller coaster or take 5-MeO DMT again, purposely, but I still might do acid to confront my problems. Final note. I wouldn't recommend doing any drugs on roller coasters unless you like very intense stuff. I wouldn't recommend bringing a crack pipe to such a public place, much less smoking out of it. I was very lucky, some people may say unlucky, that I didn't get caught. If you don't mind, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it because this channel can only get bigger from here, and liking the video will help it and many others spread across YouTube. I think leaving comments also helps too, so please comment what you think of this video, any substance you'd like me to do next, or whatever you feel like talking about. Also, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new upload. Thank you, and let's continue the journey through Tales from the Trip. So me and some friends were going to an amusement park and decided tripping there would be fun. 3 of us were going to trip and 1 was going to trip sit. We took a 105 UG tab each at 11, got to the park at around 11:30. As soon as we had entered, we started to notice the come up. The colors were becoming more vibrant, textures had higher contrast and looked sharper. I knew that we were going to trip hard. At 12, we decided to do a sky swing ride. This attraction is 120 meters tall, and we got to see Stockholm from above. It was extremely beautiful. The houses looked like small toy houses, and the clouds made patterns. We then went to eat food. We ordered without even understanding what the cashier was saying, and I ended up with my food in my hands and got disoriented. I started to look around and got lost of which direction I was standing in. It looked like one of those optical illusions with staircases going different directions. We then stood in the queue for a dark ride, and my friend said, "Is it just me, or does literally everyone here look like goblins?" I looked around at the other people and realized he was right. Literally every person had a deformed face, with a jaw 45 degrees in the wrong direction, and huge pimples and acne all over their faces with huge noses. I wasn't scared by them, but they were definitely unpleasant to look at. And in the dark ride, I immediately felt a bit inviting, since I at least didn't have to stand with a bunch of goblins. Overall, what I can say about doing attractions on LSD is that you kind of forget what is scary. At multiple times, I found myself looking at people screaming and being like, "Why are you screaming? This attraction has already done the same things 30 times. Why would it still be scary?" I then had an identity crisis, and it led to a downward spiral of self-hate and past life, and overall made me feel like a failed person, but it went away with the trip. My review of tripping at an amusement park. Positives. It's a very interesting experience. 3D space can look so cool when moving fast like that. Queues aren't nearly as boring as when you're sober. Negatives. Very loud noises and people screaming. It can feel very cramped and claustrophobic. Overall easier to get a bad trip, and easy to get caught. Overall, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you feel like you can handle yourself, it can be worth trying. It was 4th of July, and I went to my good friend Robert's house for the night. When I got there, he was packing a bowl. I had smoked weed before, but I never thought weed could do this to me. I smoked that bowl with him, and I felt a normal high, reality seen as a picture show, etc., within a very short amount of time. We watched the infamous Stoner's favorite movie, Half Baked. Our friend Chris came over after that, and we smoked another bowl. Then I put one together, and we smoked it. I make a very tight bowl. Afterwards, we walked to Chris's house, and I felt like I was floating, like my feet weren't touching the ground at all. I didn't talk much either. I don't think I talked at all, really. But we got to Chris's house and went to the basement where the band equipment was set up. Robert started playing guitar, and it echoed in my head as I sat on the i33T0 couch watching Chris messing with the sound. We decided to go up the stairs, and the staircase did not look real. When we got up there, they supplied me with my own water bong to toke up on. Plus Robert brought his bowl, and Chris had Robert's water bong too. I smoked mine, and helped them smoke theirs. You know when you overfocus your eyes and everything gets blurry? Well, that's what happened, but it was constant. I just sat there and watched TV. I didn't blink. That's not even the beginning of the story though. I got home at around 12 midnight. My mom picked me up. The next morning, I had to get up at 6:30 to go to Hershey Park with my friend, Jamie. Even though the high was pretty much gone, I still didn't feel myself. Everything that happened felt like a dream, 5 minutes, or so it seemed, later. We rode all of the roller coasters, and none of them scared me. I was just like, let's go for it, because I had no remembrance of it afterwards. I saw a picture of me on one of the coasters, and I was all zoned out, like I was just sitting at home like a lazy ass as usual. I'm kind of upset that I got to miss the reality of the amusement park, being that I don't get to go on them too often. But the feeling was great. I had to literally hold on to Jamie because I wasn't aware of where I was, what I was doing, or where I was going. The munchies hit me later though, and I had to pay $20 in Hershey for a pizza. This really didn't wear off until later that night when I was getting ready to go to sleep. I must say, it was great, but I wouldn't choose weed as a choice drug. I like to know how reality works. I want to be able to dig deep into everything when I'm on a drug. That's why I now choose to do amphetamines as opposed to forgetting things and acting dumb. But that's another story. Everything is eventual. Peace. P.S. My mom never knew that I was high, but the other night when one of my other friends stayed the night, she thought we were high as hell, and it took a lot of convincing for her to believe that we weren't. I guess you could say that these weren't really bad trips per se, but I thought it would be fun to do this because I've always wanted to do a themed video like this, and what better than a theme park? Ha ha ha, I'm so funny. Nah, I'm not. Go fuck yourself. I'm talking to myself, not you guys. You guys are awesome, but fuck me. Alright, have a good day.